permit requirements.
Tonight, one-on-one with former Wisconsin Governor Jim Doyle. Out of office almost 2 years, hardly a peep out of him. Jim Doyle has tried to stay out of the limelight and stay out of Governor Scott Walker's way. Fox 6's Mike Lowe sits down with him in Charlotte.
Since leaving office in 2012, former Governor Jim Doyle has done a lot. He's worked on health care initiatives, he's advised alternative energy companies, and he sat on various boards of foundations. He, of course, has also spent a lot of time with his family. But all of that has been outside of the public eye. For the last 2 years, he's been the invisible man of Wisconsin politics. And that's exactly the way he wants it. It's a time-honored tradition that once you leave office, you don't comment on your successor. But I have to imagine there were times over the last 2 years where you really had to bite your tongue.
Yes, there are times I've had to bite my tongue, but I do believe in that tradition. I have made a point of not sitting in the background and saying I would have done it this way or I wouldn't have done this. I've gone about my life, and I think that that is important. I respect presidents that have done it. It tends to be what governors do around the country. It wasn't a courtesy that it was extended to me, by the way, but I do think it's one that I hope maybe by my doing it, future former governors would do the same.
You had to, at some points, want to respond to some of this stuff. Alberta Darling standing up on the Senate floor, calling it the Doyle deficit. Obviously, Scott Walker blaming you for many of the problems. Was there any point you wanted to defend yourself, even if you weren't directly criticizing the current governor?
You know, when you take a step away, you can see the political rhetoric for what it is. You know, just for example, if you take the deficit, you know, the irony was it turned out the largest deficit in history of Wisconsin was the one I inherited, and the biggest cuts ever made in state government in Wisconsin were the ones that I made. So, I mean, those are the facts.
You are still keeping a hand in politics. Tell us why you're here today.
Well, my one thing that I am most devoted to and will do anything I can to help in any way is to see that Barack Obama is reelected President of the United States.
You were one of the first governors in the country to come out and support President Obama way back in the 2008 primary. Has he disappointed you in any way?
Not at all. To me, the most amazing thing is the Republican leadership, and they even admit this. They would rather obstruct and see the economy of this country go down the drain rather than have Barack Obama reelected to a second term.
If the Republicans' only goal is to obstruct what he's doing, there's no political benefit to trying to find a compromise, and there's no practical benefit to it either.
Well, the practical benefit is he has been able to get things passed, and he did get health care passed.
Do you think President Obama has been the transformational figure that many had hoped he would be, or has he been more of a conventional president?
I don't think you know transformative presidents until you're 20, 30, 40 years out. I have no doubt that when historians 20, 30 years from now write about what happened in this period of our history, really in many ways depending on the outcome of this election in November, they're going to say this was a very major transformation.
Wisconsin delivered a 14-point victory to Barack Obama in 2008. It's a state famous for its progressive streak. Bob La Follette, Russ Feingold among the names that people remember from Wisconsin. What accounts for the rightward shift in this state over the last 2 years?
It wasn't like in the rest of the country it was a big Democratic year and Wisconsin went differently. What we were part of was in 2010 was a very national event that occurred politically. But if you think just 2 years earlier, after the election of President Obama, you can go back and look at it. There were articles saying the Republican Party is probably dead. So, you know, these things, they move back and forth.
Insights from the former governor, and ones he will no doubt share with his students when he goes back to school as a fellow at Harvard in the next couple of months. Reporting in Charlotte, Mike Lowe, Fox 6 News.
Well, this is sort of an awkward transition, but one of the
we'll
stories I
plot
want to tell you
ahead.
about this guy, he got her naked. He wanted